Talking to former Border Patrol Chief Chris Clem, Yuma sector. One of the things that became political right away is the concept of the wall. Never mind the whole Mexico's going to pay for it.
Yeah.
But the idea of a wall, we were told you can climb over it, you can dig under it, you can cut through it. The question for America is, do walls work? And so as a man who has experienced it, saw the construction of it, dealt with it in different sectors, Yuma sector being much different than Rio Grande Valley or El Paso, do walls work? And if so, how?
Yes. When we put them where we need them, right? There hasn't been an agent that I've ever met that says, hey, we need a wall, 2,000-mile wall from the Gulf Coast to the Pacific Ocean. We need it where it makes sense. And allow me to kind of break this down a little bit. The wall, as it's designed based on our requirements, is to deny or impede access into the United States or control and contain access into the United States. There are places where it's right there on the border, and there's places where we have to kind of concede. It's very, very important when we have urban areas along the border, San Diego, El Paso, places in Arizona, where we have determined that the vanishing point for somebody that enters illegally is seconds to minutes. If you've ever been to a border town, El Paso, San Diego area, those are great examples where they can jump the fence, cross the river, and be in a neighborhood or a high school or an apartment complex in seconds. So that's where you need that wall to slow them down. And when you combine that wall with technology in the form of cameras and sensors to help agents do their job, that's where it really makes sense. So where we have put wall in those areas where we have a very short vanishing time, it has made a huge difference.
It isn't about stopping people because they're already in the United States in a lot of these places, especially when you talk about Rio Grande Valley. I've been in McAllen. The wall is a mile and a half inland, and you get completely freaked out when the first time you see that and you realize it's not on the border, but you look at the winding nature of the Rio Grande. There's a moment where you could be in Texas, but south of Mexico. That's the level of winding of that sector. But the objective here is to slow people down to apprehensions. That is not something that gets discussed publicly. Why has there been no real push to explain why that is so valuable to people like yourself and those in Border Patrol?
It can be a very emotional and divisive issue that can get captured by political politicians and or certain media outlets, right? They want to stoke that fire. And so if you tell the truth and say, this is why it's designed, it's there to give us a tactical advantage to help us slow down so we have a better chance of making an arrest to prevent bad people and bad things from coming in, then that makes sense, right? But if you just say, this kind of this false choice of, you either have a wall or you don't have a wall, they're either going to get over or it's either going to work or not work. Well, look, it's a combination of things. The wall slows them down. When you have the people in place and the technology in place, then you can make those arrests. So when you have the camera and the sensor, look in there and you see somebody trying to make that attempted illegal entry, you can respond and you can make the result. But without that wall, they're going to go and they're going to vanish and they're going to be those gotaways. The only way we're going to get a better chance at securing this border is to continue what we started. Yeah, we can smooth it out a little bit and make some adjustments, but we need to finish that infrastructure packet that we began a few years ago. And when you have a secure border, then it makes sense to expand lawful legal pathways for people to come in the right way, because they know the wrong way you're not going to be able to make it as easy.
I think it interesting that you ranked them. I do this often. You have to get this done before you can get to the next thing. Is that a position of you personally, Chief Clem, or is that a position of Border Patrol that once you do this, then you can get the other things going, but you got to start here? And I think that's where Americans are in great measure. You got to start with securing the border.
Yeah. Well, so that's my opinion. But I will tell you that I'm a border security expert, not an immigration expert. I mean, there are two different things in my book and the Border Patrol's book. My job is to catch anything and everything that comes in between the ports of entry, or at least my job was. But yes, Border Patrol agents are going to say, hey, let's secure that border first. But because you can go back to historical programs where you've added an easier, more efficient way to bring people in, you'll see a correlation to a decline in illegal entries, because People sometimes just want to come here and work. You can go back to the 50s and 60s and the Bracero program. We have to start with a secure border. I mean, it's a foundation. Just like when you're building a home, you have to get the foundation right, or everything else will crumble. And we've experienced that over the last few years, actually the last several decades, because the government's great at building band-aids. Hey, we'll do this, we'll do that, but get that foundation right, secure that border. And I think that opens up, it takes that piece off the table. So then maybe some of our common sense folks can go, hey, what does business need? What do the communities need? What do we need to continue healthy, lawful immigration, to continue to make America prosperous and grow? But if you don't have that foundation of a secure border, and things are going to crumble, because we can do all the things we want, militarily, everything around the world. However, there's always going to be threats. So we've got to get that secure. Last thing I'll say on that point, Tony, is look, everywhere around this country, you have people that live in gated communities. You have locks on your front door. You have locks on your bedroom. If you're fortunate to have a bathroom in your bedroom, you got a lock on that door. But we will argue, and we will become divisive, and we will name call and finger point if we want to put a lock on our front door and just say, hey, come in the right way. I like to call it tall fences and wide gates. We need to have a country of tall fences, which is our border security, and then wide gates, which would be the lawful pathways for people to come in the right way, so we know who they are and what your intentions are. And that's the way we should be looking at it. And that's my opinion, but that's kind of where I see the success going if we can get there.
Chief Chris Clem, former Chief Yuma Sector for Customs and Border Patrol. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.